Do 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 do. Boo boo boo. Ready? Ooh. You want to say a prayer before we get started?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be here today, to have the opportunity to make a podcast and allow others to hear our thoughts and to even have the ability to make thoughts freely and without any impediment or deficiency. Thank you, Lord, for just giving us health in our minds and in our bodies, Lord God. Thank you for giving us the kind of heart for the people, giving us the kind of courage to, despite any kind of backlash, go forward and just speak our truth and say what needs to be said in hopes that things get better, not just for us, but for all people. All people. Lord, we thank you for just giving us this opportunity, and thank you for keeping us safe. And I ask that you just allow us to say what you want us to say. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Couldn't have said it better. Okay. Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Famous words by Martin Luther King Jr., Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Eric Garner. The list goes on. Let's give them a moment of silence. I want to thank you guys for coming back. It's A-Lou, and this is 24/8, 8 days of hustle and 7. This episode is everything. My cousin brought it to my attention and wanted to be a guest on this one, and he's the perfect guest for it. His name is Lionel White. I'm going to let him give an introduction. Go ahead, Lionel.
Hi, you guys. Hi, A-Lou. Thank you for having me on the show today. My name is Lionel White. I'm from Sacramento, and born and raised here, Sacramento, California. I'm an English teacher and also teach social science in the Elk Grove School District, where I've been teaching for a little bit over a decade. And I have a master's in history and I have a bachelor's in social science, African American and African studies, and also English from UC Davis, which is a school, university just outside of Sacramento.
And that is exactly why I brought you on. Not only because I grew up with you, not only because you're one of my role models, just because the studies that you have taken on and the life that you lived. This week's episode is titled End Time for a reason. So many times us, and I say that for me and Lionel and many more out there, as African American men, people around the world, we've always been told that in time things will get better. Over time things will get better. But they haven't. And that's why this episode needed to happen. Lionel, the first question I want to ask you was, and this is crazy because Lionel brought this to me, this episode, way before the Ahmaud situation was brought to light. What made you want to speak on this topic, Lionel?
So, what made me want to speak on this topic is the fact that every day in the news, media, just my experiences talking to people, the conversations that I have with people in my community, conversations I have with my wife and friends and family, and the experience that I had, and also my studies, it pretty much all culminated in just the desire to want to speak out and to speak up. I've been in the classroom, for the last grammar and some social science, but I think it's time, to have a public discussion and to talk about the things that I'm very passionate about. Talk about things that an issue that is pressing, an issue that is that seems to not go away. And that's brutality against African American people in the United States. And I just think it's time. It's time for us to reopen the discussion, and it's time for us to start putting our minds together in a serious way, in a truthful way, and in hopes to figure out how to move forward as a country, with everybody involved, with all the shareholders involved, because regardless of your race, if you're living in this country, hopefully you have love for people of all races. Hopefully you have friends of all races. Hopefully you may even have family members who may be a different race, or may be perceived as a different race. We have leaders, we have teachers, co-workers of different races, and it's important for us all to love each other. If we're going to move forward as one people, as Americans, we need to talk about the issue, and pressing issue, that some Americans, African Americans, and especially have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day basis, for sure. I mean, you ended that perfectly, because I had a thought, and I was like, I put it in reserve until, and then boom, the way you ended it. It's our day-to-day that others don't realize. And it's funny because we had this, well, it's actually not funny, that we had this discussion about a week and a half ago, that we just can't go, as we are when we send the house to the gas station. We have to think about what we put on, the pants and the shirt or the sweatshirt or whatever the case may be. It's our day-to-day that is extremely scary for us. We know once we leave the door that we are now, I hate to say it, we are now a target. We are now on broadcast. And you would think, some people think that some people don't see it. Some African Americans don't see it. We all do on some scale. I saw it at a very young age, even when I was a kid. And me and my brother lived in Southern California, and our neighbors didn't like us because of the color of our skin. They sicked their dog on him, and they took a chunk out of my brother's side. Police came, tried to tell them the story. They didn't believe anything about it. Fast forward to when I was in high school, and this is probably the most sickening stomach to, I can even think about. It was just a friendly egg war between the basketball and baseball team. And we took a break, went to my house. Thank God my dad was there. And I was changing clothes, 5 cop cars pulled up. Now, mind you, there's only 5 black kids in this group. There's about 20 of us total, so 15 Caucasian kids. They put all the black kids on the driveway, pulled their guns out, put all the white kids safely on the curb. I was in the house changing my shirt, and I turned around and saw this. My dad walks out there, talks to the cops, talks them out of it, gets them out of the situation. Now, if my dad wasn't there, completely different situation. And to me, seeing that and living that, it's hard to understand everything that goes on around us. My life was forever changed, not in a negative way, because I can't afford to think negatively. I can't afford to react negatively, because we are looked upon so differently. A Caucasian male can be outspoken, but if we speak outside of our means, or if we're emotional about something, we are now looked as a bad person or a thug, whatever you want to label us. America's so quick to label us. And everything that you just said kind of ties back to that. And a question I want to ask you, growing up, what were some of the experiences you had that you had to deal with?
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that story here. I can relate to I have a similar story that I want to share. So one of my earliest memories with law enforcement was when my brothers and I have quite a few brothers. So 2 older brothers, and I have 2 younger brothers. age, so I might have been about 8 or 9 years old. He's 3.5 years older than me, so he was about 11 or 12 years old. So we went to, it was called a Safeway. We went to a Safeway in Sacramento. And as we were leaving Safeway, maybe 3 or 4 police officers, they apprehended my brother, and they pushed him, and my mom at this point was screaming. She was hysterical. She was like, "What are you guys doing?" And I was there. As an 8, 9-year-old, I was ready to fight.
Yeah.
I was just this, this little skinny kid. I was totally confused. But after they hemmed him up, they pushed him against, the building. They're very aggressive with him, and I remember saying to myself, "He's just a kid."
Right.
I remember saying that. I said he's just a kid. So it turns out that he fit the description of someone who robbed a store in the community. And I didn't even understand what that meant.
Right.
He fit the description. Right. But all I knew was that he's a kid, and how could these guys be treating these grown men, be treating a kid this way? Could be handling a kid this way. Right. So that was one of my earliest experiences with law enforcement. And obviously it was a negative one, but I don't know how many stories you want me to share, Aaron.
No. I mean, I think that's the point I wanted to prove, because I had more too, right? And these are things people will never know. And we talked about this off the podcast, is the names that are being spoken now, like the Ahmauds and Trayvons, but there are names that we'll never know. There's so many situation stories we'll never hear of. And I'm glad you said that you said, how many stories you want me to tell? I know you have tons of stories. And that's why I think in every phase, every generation, we've had to deal with something. But I wanted to bring you on because I want to go through that. I want to go through every phase. So I want you to give me some stats and some information, even drawing back to slavery. Like, what information do you have on that? And then we're going to tie it back to today.
Okay, so during my studies at UC Davis in African American and African studies, I learned obviously about slavery, but also post-slavery.
Right. Yeah.
Area, the time period in which we call emancipation, and the kind of struggles that African Americans went through even during that time. The kind of brutality then reminds me of what's happening right now. I don't want to throw out a bunch of stats because we all, if you don't know what's happening now in 2020, then I don't know where you've been,
Right.
But from 1880 to 1920, there were just over 3,400 lynches, black men lynched in the South, right? In what they call the Jim Crow South.
Yep.
And these were the recorded cases.
Correct.
These were the documented cases. And we know that not everything gets documented, especially when it comes to law enforcement. Right now, we're aware of, the Trayvon Martins.
Yeah.
We're aware of the Atatianas, and we're aware of the Ahmauds and the Mike Browns and so on and so forth, because they've been documented.
Correct.
And especially with the advent of technology and the cell, seeing these things. Yeah. Right? So we have representation via, the actual recording, because when it comes to, law enforcement, your word against their word is really just their word.
Correct. Absolutely.
Even what we're seeing now, you can have the footage, and cops will still get off. And it's as clear as day. So, the kind of things that were happening during emancipation, with officers who swore to protect the public, even then didn't protect black people. So, when you consider what's happening now, it makes perfect sense. I just think that it's more in your face now. But what's happening now is no different from what was happening, when we first came here.
Correct.
On slave ships were taken, brought here during slavery, the brutality then, and then even immediately after slavery, and up until today, nothing has really changed. I think we have better technology now. We have more access now to media, but the treatment and the mentality when it comes to Black lives and I'm not here to promote Black Lives Matters. That's not what me and Aaron are here to do. But Black lives do matter.
Yeah.
And we support and we support that movement 100%.
Right.
But I know that a lot of people for whatever reason they want to discredit that movement.
I mean,
the reality is the reason why it has to be said that Black Lives Matters is not because we feel like our lives matter more.
Right.
We just want to make sure that people understand that our lives matter as well.
We just want to live. Yeah, we just want to live. Yeah, exactly. We just want to have this.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That's why I wanted you to, those stats were perfect. I wanted them to hear that, but you said something that I agree with. You said that the same things are going on today. They have found a different way to put us in this group, to make us suffer. We may not be in slavery anymore. They classify us as free, but they just found us another way to put us in another prison. And in today's age, and you know so much information about it, mass incarceration, the war on drugs. When it was Caucasians doing marijuana, it wasn't that harmful of a drug. But when it's Black people doing marijuana, they're gonna be put in jail for years. These are the type of things that we have to deal with. But it's just the everyday thing. We can't even walk the streets without looking over our shoulder. What I want to talk about right now is how no matter where, if you're born in suburban areas, if you're born as they like to call the ghetto, I hate these labels that they love to call neighborhoods, whatever you want to call it, Black men are born into a mental prison. It's almost like we have to work our way out of not being arrested. Like everybody else is born free. We're not born free. We grow up being told we have to act this way, be this way, do this to stay out of harm, when everybody else just gets to live. And that's the gap that I want people to feel right now, is that you wake up and you just wake up. We wake up and we have to make sure our family's okay. We have to make sure every footstep that we take, we have to tread carefully. We have to think 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more than anybody else when we go out in the world.
Absolutely.
And that's the struggle that we have to deal with. And that's the discussion I want to have right now. So I'll let you go ahead and, go elaborate on that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think there's, as African American people, we have to have a heightened sense of awareness of where we are geographically, obviously, but I think this is something that isn't said. We have to be cognizant of our mind state.
Yeah.
When we leave our houses.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily have the permission to not have the correct mind state. You can't leave your house angry and almost escape, reality around you. Because if you're driving and the smallest mistake that you make, and you don't even have to make a mistake to get pulled over.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You could be at the grocery store, right? And you have to be cognizant of how you speak and how loud you speak, because in America, we've seen that before you even speak, you're already seen as a threat.
Exactly.
You're seen as a threat.
Yeah.
Seen as a threat. So everybody makes mistakes, right? So it's not always, you know, this African American person, you know, was speeding. This African American person ran a light. We all speed sometimes. We all. I'm pretty sure that if you ask anybody, any race, anybody who's driving, you know, we've all done things that we shouldn't have done at the time. Maybe we weren't focused, you know, completely on the road. Maybe we're on our cell phones. Maybe we pick the phone up with that. We've all done that. But I think the difference is what happens when you get caught.
Right.
What happens, what's the response from the police officers when you make that mistake? That's the thing. It's not always, you know, that we're making mistakes. That's not the issue. The issue is how are you treated by law enforcement when you make the mistake? How much time are you going to get when you make the mistake?
Right.
Are you gonna leave with your life?
Right.
If you make the mistake.
Exactly.
You don't even have to make, and that's the thing. You don't have to make the mistake. You could just be driving in an area, you know, like I was. I was driving to my wife's grandmother's house, and she happens to live in a very affluent area. So I was driving to her house, and I get, and I at the time I had a lighter colored Honda. So I was pulled over for fitting the description of someone who recently broke into a house. And I was very upset because I already have this heightened awareness because I'm in this area.
Exactly.
You know, and I know how it might look. You know, at the time I was younger, I didn't have a newer car, right? So what I expected pretty much came true. I got pulled over. I fit some so-called description. And then I asked the cop, I said, what's the description? He said a darker colored car.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have said a van, you know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because they go off of it's suspicion, right? Or let's call it like it is, racial profiling. But they don't want to say that. And I have like the similar story. I was going to school in Kentucky, wanted to drive to Michigan to see my parents. Literally left work. I used to work at Sprint back in the day, so I literally had my Sprint clothes on, put my bag in my trunk, and just drove straight from work. He pulls me over. He says it's because of I have a air freshener hanging from my river thing. They said Ohio can't have that, so I said okay. Then he said it was because he thought I stole the car, so he put me in the back of his car. And then I see on his little computer, and I would only know this because I was in his car, so now I know what their computer looks like, that he has one number wrong on my license plate. And I'm trying to get his attention, but he doesn't want to listen to it. He's rummaging through my bag, everything in my car, trying to find something to put me away 4 years for a lot of time probably. And so he comes back and said, that number's wrong. And as soon as he changes it to the correct one, his computer goes green and he lets me go. Now, in that time, I'm just like, do I take it a next step and ask for his badge? And I'm like, you know what? No, I just want to leave. I just want to see my family. Right? So everybody else can be like, what's your badge, sir? I'm going to like, no, I can't say that. You know what? I've won this battle. This is good enough for me. Thank you. I'm just gonna leave. And that's the type of stories that we have to deal with. And I really want to jump in to something that I love that you said was your Wakanda approach in theory. And I know people obviously seen Black Panther, but I'll let you tell them about your Wakanda theory.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So I think to better understand the position of African American people in this country today, you can look at the movie Black Panther, and at this point, I think most people have seen the movie, so I won't go into the plot line and everything, but it's a superhero movie, and people should definitely check it out. I will give a little bit of background because I guess without that background, people will be completely lost.
Yeah.
So Black Panther, it's about a superhero slash king of a fictitious nation called Wakanda. nation since sub-Saharan Africa. And after the superhero T'Challa slash King, after his father dies, he comes back to Wakanda, and he takes on the position of king, but at the same time, the world gets knowledge of vibranium, which is like a precious metal, precious chemical that can be used in a bunch of different ways. So to keep the outside world, particularly one group, from getting this precious metal, he basically stops them from doing that and keeps this metal out of the hands of the wrong people for fear that they'll use it for the wrong reason. So he goes back and he has to challenge someone to keep his position, and in the end it all works out. But what I wanted to talk about was how the people of Wakanda, the black people of Wakanda, are treated, and what their status is in Wakanda, and how that shows a sharp contrast with how the position of black people in the United States. So I think to better understand, how things do look for some people, in this country, and how good things can be, how good things should be, right? You can, juxtapose the treatment and the position of blacks in Wakanda from the treatment of blacks in the United States today. And I think that's part of the reason that made the movie so attractive. You had people of color, they're seen in a certain light, they're seen as people who are intelligent, they're competent, they're cultured. They live in a stable nation where they're favored. The nation is wealthy, they're technologically sound, and obviously when you imagine the black people in Wakanda, you would imagine that they're carefree. They're not thinking about being mistreated by law enforcement, because the individuals who are protecting them, they have their best interests in heart. And you can see that in how the people communicate, and how they come together in this movie. So I wanted to look at a few things in particular. The economics, the black image, and power and security. And if you look at, if we focus on African Americans in this country and how they're treated and how they're perceived in terms of economics and the kind of security that they get, you get why Wakanda and the blacks in Wakanda seem to be thriving. Right? They seem to be doing a lot better mentally. They seem to be doing a lot better as a country in terms of their happiness and their level of peace. I'm just going to run some numbers down, a few numbers. So with the incarceration rate, we all know the incarceration rate is really high for blacks in this country. But in 2019, 37% of all prisoners were black, despite demographically only 13% of the population. And you can find these stats on the U.S. Bureau of Justice, and you can find them on the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. So the next stat that I have is the unemployment rate, which is almost 6% in 2019 for African Americans, only 3% for Caucasians. Poverty lines in the United States, almost 20%, almost 21% of African Americans live under the poverty line, with Caucasians and Asians being at 10%. And I'm saying these numbers because I think the perception of blacks in this country, are reflected in these stats. If you think about why blacks are profiled, why there's the micromanagement, I think the perception of blacks in this country is that we are poor, is that we are inclined assigned to criminal activity, right? So I think the image of blacks in this country isn't very good, and this is an image that we didn't create.
No, we did not. No.
A lot of this image was created during slavery as a justification for how blacks will be treated and controlled, right? If you tell the nation that black people are violent, if you tell then it makes sense that you would kill them if they get out of line, right? It makes sense that you would mistreat them, that you would brutalize them, right? If everyone believes that black people are poor, it makes sense that you would follow them around in the store because you think that they can't afford, to purchase things.
Correct.
So if you look at, how blacks were perceived in the image of blacks who lived in Wakanda versus the image of blacks who live in the United States, there's a very sharp contrast. So that's all I wanted to point out.
I like that. It's crazy because we had an amazing 2-hour Zoom discussion on that, our battle of having a Wakanda, of having a backup, a baseline, a support system. And with that, I branched off to so many different discussions with other people, and one that stood out was with me and my father, and we came up with one of my favorite things, new phrases that I love now. We spend so much time fighting for equality in America when we should be fighting for equity. Because no matter what, you just said it, we are viewed as animals, as savages, as thugs, all these things without power. And in America, all power is equity. No matter how strong we are, because we are survivors. We survived slavery. We've survived so many different things. We've shown strength, perseverance. We've shown all these things. We tried to come together. We still have a divide. We are going to speak on that. We still have a divide, but we still do our best to live our lives. But without that backup, without that Wakanda, without that support system, it's every day is a hard day. Even I know you know this too. When I go to work, I have to be, and this sounds crazy, I have to be somebody completely different than who I am to succeed at work, to be respected at work. Because if I was myself, then I'd be a problem. But see, being outspoken is not a problem to me. That means I know I have knowledge and I want to speak on it. But regardless of what I know, if I step out of line, I become a problem. If I go get tattoos, I am now seen as a criminal, as a thug. If a Caucasian person go get tattoos, it's art. He's expressing himself. Same thing with piercings and crazy pink mohawks. But if I have dreads or braids, that kid had to cut off his dreads before he wrestled, which is absolutely insane to me. But these are the type of things that we have to deal with every day. And that's what I said. Like, I don't want people to listen to this podcast. And I'm glad you said that when you said, I'm not going to give you guys too many stats. The stats are on Google. Go read them. Go do your research. If you don't know your research right now, that's a problem. If you don't know what's going on, that's a problem. I don't want you guys. Me and Lionel is probably one of the smartest people that I know. Okay, we can do a 2-hour session and he will school you on life. But this is not about me educating you on how many of my people are dying. I want to strike your conscience. I want you to feel what we feel every day. Rather than you guys sitting here saying that we are playing the victim card. No, we are not. All we are trying to get you all to see, and the most annoying things people tell me is, oh, no, I'm not racist. I don't see color. No, I want you to see it. You have to accept color. You have to accept differences and welcome all people. And I want people to know that that's the point that we want right now. And your explanation of Wakanda is the perfect explanation. Because the black people in America, I feel so bad sometimes because I have family members, I have friends that I cannot reach no matter how bad I want to make them see what we have to do to be better, because they have been programmed to believe that this is the best life they can have. This is it. That I have to sell drugs because I can't get a job. Any Caucasian could go into a place with no education and they have a better shot with you with a 4-year degree. It does not matter what I bring to the table when I am African American. So what I want people to see is that lifestyle. That you may call my friend or family member a thug or he's just doing the best he can because he has no other option. I was blessed enough to have the job that I have, but it was hard to get. Hard to get the respect that I have right now. I watched my dad work as hard as he did. I watched you work hard, but people don't see that. They just see that we're in this position and we should be grateful. Why in the world should we be? Why should we be grateful? And this Caucasian is taking advantage of everything that he has. That's the discussion that we have to have right now. That's what I want people to feel. I want you to tell them stats because maybe some people that don't know. They don't know the background. That's another issue within itself. If you don't know what's going on in America to African Americans. But I want you guys to realize that we wake up scared and we have to tuck that away and show strength. We wake up second guessing everything that we do because we can't afford not to. And when I come home, I am grateful to be home because I'm alive. And you guys may think that's a joke, but that's not a joke. I'm alive. And that's what we want you guys to feel because it hurts me to see what I've seen, to live what I've lived, and I have to continue to live. Somebody said something to me at work when this whole shelter in place started in the quarantine and COVID-19. Said they were walking down the sidewalk. And this was a Caucasian coworker I had. They said they're walking down the sidewalk. Somebody saw them and they crossed the sidewalk. And I said, well, welcome to being black. They did it because it's COVID-19. But welcome to my life. Welcome to me just walking to my apartment, just wanting to go home. Somebody seeing me and they're afraid for their life because the picture that was painted on me. That's my life every day, regardless if it's quarantine or not. But I'll let you go ahead because I could go on and on. I'm telling you, I can.
I think that's an excellent point that you bring up. You know, the perception of black people being criminals, and I think that image, which was created, you know, during slavery as a justification, you know, for the enslavement of black people, this criminal nature that they say that black people have. It's an excuse. It's an excuse to mistreat black people. We touched on Ahmaud a little bit, but you know when you think about the situation with Ahmaud, when you think about the murder of Ahmaud, you had two individuals, one a former police officer, who, because of their belief that blacks have a criminal nature, they felt empowered to follow this man who was just jogging, was exercising, because of their belief that he's a criminal. He wasn't a criminal. He was a guy, you know, just jogging, just working out in his own neighborhood, right? But they felt that this guy is doing something wrong. They felt that they had the right to follow him, that they had the right to pull a gun on him, right? Because of this belief that, you know, he has to be a criminal. He cannot be an honest person, and that all has that. It's only because of the color of his skin.
Yeah.
You know, we talked earlier about the distinction or you know the spat between Mike Epps and Aries Spears.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people have heard about it or seen it on YouTube, but it's in social media all over the place right now, and it falls in place with what we're talking about right now. You know, and for those of you who don't know, so Mike Epps, you know, he goes on Instagram and he's hurting because of what happened to Ahmaud, right? He's hurting and he says that, you know, if black people would stop killing each other, then maybe, you know, police
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
He said that, law enforcement has been killing black people during slavery and after slavery, and before black people became city dwellers. Before 1890, during the first wave of black migration, law enforcement officers were killing black people. Blacks were being lynched by the mob even during that time. Well, blacks were living in the countryside still. So, the issue with law enforcement killing black people predates, it predates our time right now when, blacks in the city are killing each other. And it's definitely an issue, but that's separate from, the problem that this country's always had with people of color. And one thing I want to say about that, Aaron, because I will say I agree 100%, with Ari Spears, but I understand where Mike Epps is coming from.
Yeah, for sure.
Mike Epps he's frustrated.
Yeah.
He's hurting. He's trying to figure out, why is this happening? And I know both guys got caught up in their emotions, and that's understandable because they're both tired. They're both fed up. But the question I think that they're both asking, this is a question that, that most blacks want to know, all blacks want to know, who live in this country. Why does this continue to happen to us?
Yeah.
This happens to us when we're in our own houses.
Yeah.
Right? This happens to us, when we're jogging. This happens to us when we're driving. This happens to us when we're walking in our neighborhoods. Why does this continue to happen? And not only that, it happens with no consequences.
Right.
Right? Why don't we have any protection? The people who are supposed to protect us, why don't they protect us? And Mike Epps is saying if we do a better job, at not hurting ourselves, if we do a better job at valuing ourselves, then they will start to value us. But that's wrong.
It's wrong.
That's wrong.
No.
Because, when we're taken from Africa, when we're put on the slave ships, when we're going through the Middle Passage, when, blacks were bound to be ill or sick on those slave ships, we were thrown overboard to sharks. We were thrown overboard.
Yeah.
While still alive, right? During slavery, when we were put on the slave blocks, fully naked, sold, our kids sold, our sons sold, our daughters sold. That's the kind of value, that the whites who have the mentality that we're animals, that's the kind of thinking that they have. That's the mentality that they have toward us. So that has nothing to do with the way we value ourselves. Anybody who you can sell off, anybody who you can throw over, throw into shark-infested waters, right? And, kill off that easily. A person that you can brutalize, a person that you can rape, a person that you can breed, right?
Yeah.
For economic gain. Anybody who you look at like this, there's nothing that they can do. It doesn't matter if they become, Mother Teresa. It doesn't matter if they become Martin Luther King Jr. The problem isn't their character. The problem is their color.
Yes.
Their color's always been a stain, for blacks in this country. And regardless of, a black person's individual wealth, you can be as wealthy as you want to be, and you can have your own Wakanda within the four corners of your house. You can be not even that now, because someone can, in the case of a Tatiana,
yeah,
you killed in your own home.
Yeah.
So.
And that's crazy. No, it's like everything you said is true, and even when in the beginning of this podcast, when I said we've been told so many times in time or over time this will get better, the Malcolm X and the Martin Luther Kings and all these people that have fought for us in different approaches. We tried different ways, but something you said, I think as a whole, as the people, as our people as a whole, if we start asking why and how, although it will take time, it's not going to be overnight. But in those same mindsets that think that that's life is the best life that they can get, if they can change the narrative, if we can change that, and it's hard. And that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be easy for them. I'm not even saying it is doable. But we have to be patient. But that's the thing. We have to be patient, but we are running at a time in the same breath, and that's not fair. You said it. Like, why does this keep happening? We're trying to make progress. We're trying to make movements. We're trying to be better as a whole. But when you kill another, you just put everything at a hold, at a stop. And those people that have tried to better themselves and strengthen their mindsets, they're like, why would I want to get out of the inner city and find a better house and build a life, all for it to be taken away while I'm watching Netflix on a Sunday evening and a police officer busts down my door and shoot me 20 times and they still get to walk the streets? That is what is tough. And I don't think, as I sit here completely emotional, it's completely like holding it all in, holding it together because we have no option but to. The answer is out there. But every time we take a step forward, and I'm going to say this, and this I hope this resonates with everybody. Every time we take a step forward, it makes those Caucasians a little bit more scared. So they do something to push us back. And that's what I want people to know. It's just like they're afraid of us because there's you, Lionel, there's my dad's, me. We educate ourselves. We're already survivors. We're already strong people. And then when we start to educate ourselves, we become a bigger threat. And that's what they're afraid of. So I ask, and I know it's a hard answer, but what do you think? How do you think we can move forward as a whole? Because I'm with, although Mike Epps was wrong in what he said, his heart was in the right place, because we've done so much. We've kept the peace, stayed in our place, which that's even sickening to say, but we've done what we had to do to stay alive and to survive. What is that next step that we have to do to move past this? What gets us out of this hole?
Yeah, I think that's a great question here. I don't personally know, but
yeah.
I think what I do believe, I think we have to stop making excuses.
Yes.
For poor behavior.
Yes.
Right. We have to stop rationalizing why black people are being killed. I think the situation with the brutality of blacks in America, it likens me to an abusive husband, right?
Right.
And the black race being the battered wife, right?
Yeah.
The battered wife will say, maybe if I cook before he gets home, he won't beat me.
Right.
Maybe if I don't speak up as much, he won't beat me.
That is such yes.
Maybe if I wear different clothes, he won't beat me.
Right.
But the reality is, there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to keep him from beating you, because the way that he was raised, the way that he was brought up, and the very fibers of the culture of this country, right? The very fibers of this culture, is riddled with keeping black people in their place and controlling black people and controlling black bodies.
Right.
So there's nothing that you can do. The problem is with law enforcement. The problem is with the way that we perceive black people. The problem is with the image that has been created, the narrative that's been told about black people, the lies that have been. So, there's almost nothing that you can do.
I think you said go ahead.
This is the last thing I'll say about that. So you can there's a narrative. Black people are lazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when blacks create Black Wall Street, right, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when we have thriving businesses and from barbershops to grocery stores to banks, we're independent. We're bringing in we're supporting the economy, both the local economy and the state economy, right? And we have a white mob in 1921. Right? If you guys don't know about this, they call it the Tulsa Race Riots or Black Wall Street Massacre in 1921 or Tulsa Race Massacre. But you have a white mob that was jealous of black success, of black progress, and they came and more than 800 people ended up in the hospital. 6,000 black residents, were the victims of, losing homes, businesses. There was great economic loss, and there were 36 people were killed. And this is all from blacks trying to make progress,
right?
And create, wealth in our own communities and expand, right? So you could say, blacks are lazy, and that could be a reason. But we know that's not it,
right?
You can say that blacks are violent, right?
Right.
If blacks were really violent, then wouldn't they retaliate after all of these cases,
right?
All these murders,
right?
We have not formed any group to retaliate against these people who continue to kill black people. So if we're that violent, then why haven't we formed that kind of group? It's not that. There's nothing that we can do, right? When you have a system that's been created, and that's been in a narrative that's been created to keep black people in their place, to keep the status quo up, to keep white privilege, right? To continue to have whites on top. Then you have to keep the narrative going, and you have to keep black people in their place. So there's nothing you're going to be able to do. You can gain individual wealth if you want, which is great. We should work hard, gain wealth, but there's nothing that's going to keep you from your color. Your color gives you away.
And
right?
to your point, as I read and you brought up the original Jim Crow story. If you guys don't know that, that's also a problem. Just got done reading the new Jim Crow. Great book, great read. They just started making excuses, police, right? Where they said, oh, I didn't arrest him because he was black. I arrested him because he was speeding, or I arrested him off of suspicion. I arrested him because of something else. But I want you to keep that, right? What they were giving excuses, and you said it too. Stop making excuses. It's not just police. It's everybody else as well. When we try to say, hey, I'm being profiled, well, maybe it's because you wore those baggy shorts, or because you had on Jordans, or why are you burying me because the way or who I am? Or it's because why can't I wear Jordans? You wear your shoes and your clothes that you wear. But they don't want to hear that. So the thing about it, you said it, people have to stop making excuses for us dying. But it's not just the police, it's everybody. Everybody has it in their head that for some reason it's okay for this to happen. I'm gonna say this, and trust me, I'm not against anybody. Okay? I want us as a whole, just like you said in the beginning, to be one. We're all human beings. I see Caucasians, and this happens every time. You guys wear the t-shirts, hold up, don't shoot, run with the model, all these things. You guys do this every time. But then a week passes by and we're right back to normal because you feel good about yourself. Validation that you did that. That's a part of the cause. You were part of the cause. You're not a part of the cause. Change your life, change your mindset, change everything. Don't ever forget that Ahmaud got shot down jogging. He wasn't doing anything but jogging. Gyms are closed. We have to get our exercise somehow in his neighborhood. So stop posting it if you're not going to change your mindset forever. Stop thinking that you feel good about yourself because you wore a t-shirt or because you got two black friends that you agree with. Stop that. Stop making excuses for yourself and realize this is life for us. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. We have a few minutes left right now, so I'm gonna let you give your closing statement. And as much because we can talk about this all day, and I would love to. But that's a point that I wanted to get across. But I'll let you go ahead and give your closing statement.
Yeah. Thank
Correct.
Right? We have to do more than, we have to talk about these things. And I think people are coming, we've been talking. We keep talking.
Yeah.
And really that we've been marching, we've been, coming together. But I think we 100% need everybody to come on board, because this isn't a black problem. This is an American problem. We're all Americans. This is an American problem.
Correct.
So we all have to come together. We all have to put our heads together and come up with solutions that work for all of us, because if we're not free in this country, nobody is really free in this country. It's not a free country.
Right.
If one group isn't free, then it's not a free country, right?
Right.
So we all need that help. The country needs to be healthy. And in order for the country to be healthy, its citizens have to be healthy. Not some of its citizens, but all of its citizens, right? So we have to work together to create a country where we all have that peace of mind.
Correct. I thank you for that. That was perfect. I want to thank Lionel for joining me today. I really hope you guys took it all in. And this truly wasn't an attack. We just wanted you guys to see and feel what it feels like to be us every day. We're running out of time. We're losing so many our people out there. And there has to be a change. And he said it, we're all Americans. It's not just a black problem. This is an American problem. Thank you, Lionel, for joining us this week for this podcast. I am Elu. You guys know my mantra: Sage, sacrifice, achieve, grow, exceed. And this is 24/8, 8 days of hustle in 7.
Thank you, man.
Oh man, that was fun. Yeah, Blast, that was good, bro. Jesus, that was good. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna go cry probably in the corner later. Yeah, that's probably gonna happen.
Why do I feel like I butchered that whole Wakanda thing, man?
I think like people got the gist of it. I just feel like.
Oh man, I feel like I totally butchered that, man. I'm like, oh my god, dude, just
But
rambling. I was like, I'm rambling. Let me. Oh man.
I think you bounced back after the second response, so it doesn't. I mean, you got what you like. It made sense. Everybody, okay. If people don't, well, I know white people don't. They don't really understand that Michael B. Jordan was actually African Americans, because we're not accepted by you. But like, if they don't know that, but I got it. Even if you don't, you gave them the backstory. They understood the difference between black people in Wakanda versus black people here. So that, and then you just kind of touched back on it when we went to the other subject. So I mean, people like stories. So like, it's cool that we also mentioned Black Panther in there. I feel like when people like get on my podcast with me, they all say the exact same thing. They feel like they're rambling. It doesn't matter. Like, here's what I tell people: it's gonna reach somebody. It may not reach everybody. So I don't really get caught up on people's like negative, which I have rarely had negative opinions on any of my podcasts yet. So, but no, I think you did dope. I think you did exactly what I wanted you to do. You brought the facts and everything, and I think that was a great discussion. I do.
I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about it?